Say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now.
I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it out. It's your time, it's your time. Oh, cheers to all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be words, I could be a hater like you. It could all be words. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it out. It's your time, it's your time. Oh, if you're on the bus, say yeah. Yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah. Yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. Yeah. Young or old, I really don't care. Yeah. Life has never really been fair. Yeah. So put your fist up in the air. Yeah. Say yeah. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to run it out. It's your time, it's your time. Oh.
The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Hope you've had a blessed 24 hours. It's time to shine. Good morning to you. Hey, listen, before we get started, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. When you share the show, it means everything. Good morning to you. My name is Nathan Ivey. I'm your host. Welcome back to the Nathan Ivey Show, Cincinnati's first daily digital talk show that focuses on the Black community. Good morning to you. Let me give me a thumbs up in the chat box to let me know that you can hear me, that we are sounding good, looking good. Good morning to you. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about some national issues. Of course, if you don't know, if you wake up this morning, many of you folks are hardcore political types, so you've been following along what's happening in Georgia. I want to give you an update as to where we are right now, and then talk about some things that happen locally and culturally as well. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. It's a beautiful day to be alive, no matter where you are in the world. That is definitely a blessing. You don't have to be here. Life is it's so temporary. It's so temporary. Your life can change just like that. Good morning to you. We sounding good? Thumbs up in the description. The comment box. Yeah. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. What's up, Casey? Good morning to you. What's up, Carmelita? What's up, Brenda? What's up? Wait, what's up, Sharp? What's up, Ashley? What's up, Crutha? What's up, Brenda? Good to see you. Good to see everybody. All right, let's jump straight into this. I want to talk about and give you an update as to what happened in Georgia, because everyone was watching Georgia last night. I know in our household, we were up the wife and I were watching it. We understand the gravity of it, and, we're into politics. So it's being reported that it was a stunner in Georgia, because traditionally Georgia has been a red state. And a lot of people were shocked when Joe Biden took Georgia. And of course, you had two runoff races, because Georgia has, and essentially, if you know the history of it, I'll just give you a quick flyby of it. But essentially, it's a racist political construct that they had in Georgia, and it was set up to try to prevent Black candidates from winning statewide elections and becoming the senator in Georgia. So essentially, the way it works is that if none of the candidates reach the 50% of the vote threshold, it automatically triggers a runoff election. And the reason why it's racist is because the idea behind it many years ago was that a Black candidate could not win in a head-to-head race against a white candidate. I just want to let you know some of the history behind this. So that's what happened in November. In two of the Senate races. In one race, you had Kelly Loeffler, who was actually appointed by the governor because the previous senator stepped down due to health reasons. So she was appointed. This was her first race, or it was back in November, and she did not reach the 50% threshold. So the way it works is the two top vote getters, they face off in a runoff. And it looks like Reverend Warnock will become the first Black man to ever become senator from the state of Georgia. As I read it, only the 11th Black person in American history to become a U.S. senator, period. Only the 11th. Only the 11th African-American senator in U.S. history. That's what Reverend Warnock, if the projections hold to be true, will end up becoming. The first, you might be asking, was back in 1870. Hiram Revels of Mississippi became the first African-American senator. He served a year and then went on to become the president of a university and live his life. But from what I've read, he gave him hell, for us. For the culture, way back in the 1800s. Hiram Revels, you can do Hiram Rhodes Revel. If you want to do your homework in Wikipedia, go right ahead and do so. Only the 11th. Think about that. So that's big for the culture on some levels. That's big for the cultures. Now, the other race features Senator Perdue and John Ossoff. Perdue is the Republican, Ossoff is the Democrat. And at this point, as I'm reading, that is too close to call. Jumping back to Kelly Loeffler, it looks as if she is not going to concede. Why would she concede? Like, here's a woman who just yesterday and the day before said that she was going to openly contest the election results from November. which includes all the people that voted for her. It's the most ridiculous thing that we're seeing. We are truly living in the last days of common sense, my friends. No doubt about it. Here's a woman who's contesting the election in which she got millions of votes. All because they want to kiss the ass or kiss the ring of Donald Trump. Speaking of which, there's some interesting things that are scheduled to happen today in D.C. because Congress is supposed to basically give their official stamp to the electoral college results. So we'll see what's happening. The Proud Boys and pro-Trumpsters who are upset because Trump's lying about losing the election, they've already been facing off. I got a video I'll show you where they're facing off with the cops. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of talk about it, but when it's black folks, when it's Black Lives Matter folks, it just gets there's a whole nother energy around it, but we'll get to that in a second. So when it comes to Ossoff and Perdue, that race is too close to call at this point. John Ossoff has 50.2% of the vote from where I'm reading, which amounts to 2,208,717 votes. David Perdue has 49.8% of the vote, which amounts to 2,192,347 votes. So it's very, very close. Perhaps there'll be a recounting of all the votes. We'll have to see. Going back to Loeffler and Warnock at this point has 50.6% of the vote, which amounts to 2,227,296 votes. Kelly Loeffler, 49.4% of the vote, which amounts to 2,173,866 votes, just for folks that like to get the numbers. I know some of you like to be precise. As we stand right now, with everything being what it is, the balance of power in the U.S. Senate is 50 votes for the Republicans, 49 votes for the Democrats. Again, if John Ossoff actually wins, if he maintains his lead, there'll be a 50-50 split of balance and power, which means that if there's ever a tie, then the vice president-elect, soon to be sworn in, the vice president, Kamala Harris, will break the tie. Now, it begs the question, how many times can you foresee there being a 50-50 split? Now, we know we're living in an age of hyper-partisanship, but what does this really mean? Let's say the Democrats win both of these seats in Georgia. If they do, then a lot of credit have to go to Stacey Abrams, and a lot of credit has to go to all the people who are on the ground in Georgia who've been investing in trying to turn that state for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? They've been doing it for a while. And sometimes when you're putting the energy in, you don't see the results immediately. You might see them at a time where it shocks you. Okay? So we'll have to wait and see. There's been some rumblings about what this really means. Joe Biden said when he was campaigning 2 days ago and yesterday that if the Democrats win both of these seats, then they're going to send out $2,000 checks immediately. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if that was something that was convincing or not. I don't know. I do know that the Republicans and Trump seem to be arguing against themselves. It's like they're telling people to come out to vote. At the same time, they're not just acknowledging or implying, they're saying that the vote was stolen. So if you're a Republican in Georgia, it's like, why go out and vote if they're just going to steal it anyway? It doesn't make any sense, but we'll have to wait and see. If the Republicans lose both of these races, some say you have to blame Donald Trump. And I'm not upset with that. This to give you an update as to what's been going on and where we are and where everything sits right now. What do you think about that? I mean, you happy, surprised, not happy, not surprised? Does it not really matter? I mean, you tell me. 513-873-7134. Del Rice, don't forget Latasha Brown and Black Votes Matters. I absolutely cannot forget Black Vote Matters. Daryl, you're absolutely right about that. That sister in that organization, from what I've been reading, and I'm in Cincinnati, but from what I've been reading, what I gather, put in tremendous work. They put in tremendous work. Okay. Now, what's up for today's show? Now, I put in a request to speak with my good buddy, Joe Eaton, with the Buckeye Firearms Association. The Buckeye Firearms Association, man, they put out a statement after the governor here in Ohio signed, House Bill 175, which basically takes away the right to retreat in terms of stand your ground. It expanded where you can stand your ground outside your home. They're super happy and tickled pink about this. No pun intended. They are tickled pink. They are super happy about it. So I reached out to Joe because he's a spokesman for that organization. That organization has done, see, that's one of those organizations that's on the ground in Ohio, that's moving and pushing policy that people don't really know about a whole lot and don't really hear from until after something like this. But he said yes. So we're trying to make sure we can get that time. Maybe it'd be sometime between 8 and 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., I'm hoping to catch up with Fast Pitch from the Valet Service podcast. And some of you know her. Many of you probably already do. She's one of the choppers. She does a podcast herself, and now she's working with CDM with the podcast on Tuesdays. And so yesterday, of course, as we were preparing to do the show, we're conversing back and forth as we get ready and getting prepared. And something inexplicable happened. And I wasn't aware of it because, as many of you know, my mother in the hospital, and I've been going back and forth and trying to take care of that and just, other things. I wasn't on Facebook a lot after the show yesterday. I didn't know that she had posted a video detailing what happened. But, she's got a production office space where she's doing her biz, and it's over in Reading Road. And craziest thing happens, there was a shooting. Not too far. I don't know if it was in the same building or right next to the building that she operates out of, but a man was actually killed. As the story goes, as I understand it, happened in broad daylight. It's the first fatal shooting of 2021. It happened yesterday afternoon around 3 p.m. at 7369 Brookcrest Drive in Roseline. And Cincinnati police said that a 38-year-old man named Kevin Shuttles was shot and killed. From what I was told, literally dudes in the barbershop, somebody comes in, shoots this man, broad daylight, with witnesses, rolls out of here. And it was in or near the building or below the office space that she's in. And she caught some of what happened on video. You can go to her Facebook page and check it out. But she's scheduled to give us a call at 9 a.m. and just share her experiences. I spoke with her yesterday, and, she was touched by it. She was very, very much touched by it, as you can imagine. And we spoke a bit about as we were preparing, and then she had to vacate the premises from where she was broadcasting live. So she did it straight from her page and not from our page. But it's a damn shame. And we had a decent conversation about it. And, I'll say it again, man. They got us so confused that we out here killing one another over trivial reasons. And the real enemy never gets touched. The real problem in our community never gets addressed. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know if this was some kind of beef. I don't know if it was personal. Was it over a woman? Was it over money? Was it over ego? I don't know. But broad daylight, and we both talked about it and agreed about it yesterday, like, who does that in broad daylight? They're going to find you. They got all kind of witnesses. They got all kind of video. You're high? You might want to think this all the way through. And then I read this morning that the police have made an arrest. They arrested 28-year-old Jamon Akins and charged him with the murder of the death of Suttles. What makes you think you're getting away with something like this in 2021 in broad daylight? It blows my mind. And again, from what I understand, and again, I don't have a lot of information, but like I've been saying, people love to run that stuff down in the black community, like the black community don't care about murder and the black community doesn't work with police. That is a damn lie. That is a lie. I don't know the individuals, but I'm sure and confident that many people who are witnesses and concerned about this worked it with the police and will be working with the police on this particular situation. That's probably how they caught the dude. So all those naysayers out there that love to point fingers at our community, stop it, because all you're doing is fear mongering for your own gain. This nonsense about how, generally speaking, the black community is on some anti-snitching stuff. Y'all need to stop that. That's the police. That's not us. That's what you do. So knock that off. Let it be known. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares more about these murders than the people that live in the neighborhoods where these murders take place. So stop it. I don't want to hear none of that nonsense. Oh, we just need to come forward. It depends. I mean, it depends on the scenario. And then when people come forward, can you properly protect them? That's the other thing. I ain't coming forward if it's going to put everybody in jeopardy. Now, 2 tragedies? Nah. So I'm looking at the yellow tape that's surrounding, and I haven't been to that building recently, but I know exactly where that is. And just a sad situation, just a real sad situation. So that's at 9 a.m. and looking for a call from FP at 9. We'll talk for a bit and just kind of, get her thoughts about that situation. And she said some people were hating on her because she was video recording it or whatever, but stop it. Knock it off. Let me see here. 28 years old. You 28? So now you done gave the rest of your life up. The next 20, 30 years up. For what? For what exactly? And apparently Jamar Akins is going to be arraigned this morning. It's just a sad situation. Again, I don't know the details. I don't know what started it. I don't know why it happened, but it's just senseless. It's not senseless. I don't want to say that. It's just ultimately self-defeating for the culture, right? Like I said, they got us so confused that we out here fighting and hating among ourselves over trivial reasons. And meanwhile, the real perpetrator of the crimes against our community and our futures never get touched, never get addressed. I'm just saying, take it any way you want to take it. Take it any way you want to take it. And then think about this. I mean, here you are in a crowded business. Anybody could have got shot. For what I understand, there's a daycare that's near, where this shooting take place. Damn, y'all ain't got no respect even for the children. I mean, the street's gonna do what the street's gonna do. I get it. But damn, what about the kids? What about the children? We got super upset down in Louisville when those officers broke into Breonna Taylor's house and was just like busting shots just, with no concern whatsoever. And of course, there's a difference because you're talking about law officers, but damn, yo. I'm like, damn, even if you got a reason to go after this dude, you gonna do this next to a daycare where the babies are? I'm just wondering if drugs was involved. A lot of these dudes, man, got to get high as hell before they go do something. And it clouds their judgment, but just a tragic situation right there. Very, very tragic. 513-873-7134. That's the first fatal shooting of 2021. And we're 6 days into the year. It's macabre, but we track these kind of things in the modern day America. So I want to get your thoughts about those things and others this morning. 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. Let me jump inside the chop shop and say what's up. Let me see. Tracy writes hi. Ray writes here. Crystal's in the house. Good to see you, Crystal. She writes, good morning. Thank you for your support. CG Dub writes, good morning, choppers. Will Mike Pence call in sick today? I don't know. He might. Yeah, the Republicans, they just won't stop, man. They just won't stop. And it just goes to show you that we are our own worst enemy. These Republicans are still out here contesting the election. Now, when Trump won, it was all good. Mitch McConnell was praising Hillary Clinton for conceding. But when Trump loses, they follow his example and everybody wants to contest the election. What a bad example of leadership. What a poor example of leadership. And just look, some of our neighbors are caught up with this. I read this morning that there's even some people from Ohio that's going to D.C. to protest and to contest the the confirmation, for lack of a better term or a better word, of the votes, the electoral college votes for Joe Biden. What? And get prepared for this. Like, this isn't going to stop. They're going to be doing this for the next 4 years. They're going to be using this as a rallying cry all the way to the midterm elections in 2024, and then all again in 2022, and then, in 2022, and then all the way through the presidential election in 2024. It's here to stay. They've got nothing else to talk about. They ain't got nothing. What else are they going to talk about? So this is their ticket. This is the one trick pony. It's the one trick they got. And that they're going to use it. 100%. So get ready for that. Again, 513-873-7134. So Warnock won in what he was being called a historic video. It was historic victory. And it is historic. As I told you, this is, by my count, the 11th African-American to become a senator. The 11th. That ain't a lot. I mean, when you go back through the annals of history, that ain't a whole lot. And Kelly Loeffler, in my opinion, was just a bad candidate. I mean, even her employees, even the members of the WNBA Atlanta Dream Team were out there stumping for her opponent. That says a whole lot. And the reason why is because she's anti-Black Lives Matter. Now, how you going to be anti-Black Lives Matter? What the fuck is wrong with you? Well, at the same time, you're saying, obviously, African-American lives matter. And, you know, it's just all politics and fear-mongering and games. I got a quick video for you of Senator-elect Reverend Warnock giving his acceptance speech. Check this out.
I come before you tonight as a man who knows that the improbable journey that led me to this place in this historic moment in America could only happen here. We were told that we couldn't win this election. But tonight, we prove that with hope, hard work, and the people by our side, anything is possible. Washington has a choice to make. In fact, all of us have a choice to make. Will we continue to divide, distract, and dishonor one another? Or will we love our neighbors as we love ourselves? Will we play political games while real people suffer? Or will we win righteous fights together, standing shoulder to shoulder, for the good of Georgia, for the good of our country? And so to everyone out there struggling today, whether you voted for me or not, know this: I hear you, I see you, and every day I'm in the United States Senate, I will fight for you. We are tied in a single garment of destiny. We are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, son. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. People said he couldn't hear me. My son came downstairs to tell me he couldn't hear me. All right, let me get back to it again. I had a great bit. So that was Reverend Warnock, and I 100% support and applaud it. It's for the culture. It's for diversity. It's for everything. I think that for the people of Georgia and also the people of the country, he'll be a much better representative than Kelly Loeffler. I'm sorry. She was trash. But I want to say a quick prayer. Dear Black Jesus, please bless Reverend Warnock. And please guide him, Black Jesus. And make sure that this man does not get caught up with any thoughts. No drugs. Please let this black man don't get caught up like Andrew Gillum did with some kind of male gigolo in a hotel room. Please, please, please. Thank you. Amen. So I want to say that prayer real quick because I don't want to see the brother go out. You know what I'm saying? Like that. You know, I don't know if he got any skeletons in his closet, but now he's in the big time. He got big time opponents. And his political opponents, the Republicans, I'm sure are going to go through his background and try to find any dirt they can on him. All right. Please don't go out like Andrew Gillum. That's all I'm asking. I don't know what you're going to do, black man, but don't go out like that, black man. That's all I'm saying. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep your hand out the cookie jar, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's got that look. That's all I'm saying. He's got that look. Read into it what you will. Don't get caught up with the nonsense, brother. That's all I'm saying. Because they would, here you are, the first black person who's a senator from Georgia. Oh my God. The pitchforks are coming out. The investigators are going to be, they're probably already climbing through his history. Stay the hell off of Facebook. Stay off social media, man. Stay off social media. If you got any skeletons in your closet, Reverend Warnock, bury them deep, brother, because they coming for you. You can believe that. But congratulations to him, to the state of Georgia, to Black Votes Matters, to all the people that was involved. Again, I'm in Cincinnati, but, you know, I'm paying attention to it as much as I can via the internet. And it seemed like it was a tremendous effort over multiple election cycles that led to this. Now, I think the next step is Purdue versus Ossoff. And again, in my humble opinion, there ain't even no choice between these two candidates. From what I understand, they politics, they hit Ossoff all day. Ossoff all day. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. It's very, very close there. Let's go to the phones, take our first call this morning. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivey. This is your West Side Connection, your number one villain and the most hated man in the chop shop, who is still disgusted after being viciously hung up on yesterday while I was making my point. But that's all right, Mr. Ivey. This is the Nathan Ivey Show.
I didn't hang up on you, Drop.
Mr. Ivey, perception is not always reality, sir.
Okay, but I didn't hang up on you, though.
Well, that's the way it sounded to me on this end.
Oh, well.
But, hey, I'm good. I'm not sensitive like that,
well,
Mr.
my
Ivey.
apologies about that. I didn't mean to hang up on you, though. That wasn't my intention.
I appreciate it. But let's not look backwards. Let's look forward.
Well, you brought it
up. I would like to send out a vigorous congratulations to the Reverend Raphael Warnock for being the first Black senator from the great state of Georgia. Well, so much for the Southern strategy. Now, that's for Democrats. Y'all got y'all wish. The game is over. The celebration is pretty much done. And now it's time to go back in the lab and get to work. So, after this morning, when the announcement of Reverend Warnock winning his race and the other race still in question, but it's looking like it's going to go to Ossoff. So that's going to give the Democrats a 1-vote lead, and that 1 vote to victory is going to lie in the hands of the first Black vice president, female, Kamala, I'm Black, y'all Harris. So now it's going to be time to govern, Democrats, because they are lining up at the door. They are lining up at the door like those single women at the pulpit on the bachelor's night at church. Everybody gonna want theirs. So the big question, Mr. Ivey, and for all you Democrats out there who out here celebrating like y'all just won something other than an election, now it's time to govern. Let's see what will be the first piece of legislation that Joe Biden and the Democrat Party, as well as Barack Obama and his third term, what will be the first piece of legislation they pass? Because history shows if you pick wrong, you're going to lose in the upcoming midterm election in 2022. So as far as this election cycle in 2020, it's over. The Democrats have won. The Democrat voters, they showed their asses out, and they showed up in 2 elections, not just 1, in 2. And giving a shout out to the Republican Party too, Mr. Ivey. You got to give them their props, okay? And this country, it is clearly divided right now. So everything is going to be on Sleepy Joe and Sleepy Joe and Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's see what they do, because on January 21st, guess what, Mr. Ivey? It's all about, what's your saying? Tangibles and equity. Right, Mr. Ivey?
I can see where you're going with this, man, and it's very, very cynical of you.
Why is that, Mr. Ivey? Oh, you want to have a conversation with me? That is very rare.
I don't know why. Usually we have a conversation every morning, but I mean, you weren't talking about equity policy intangibles when it came to Trump.
Now, see, Mr. Ivey, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that in 2021, because you're going to end up being just like the lamestream media. All they're going to do is talk about Trump. All you're going to do is talk about Trump.
I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about you.
You just did.
I mentioned Trump while talking about you. I'm talking about you, not Trump. You didn't bring up equity policy intangibles when Trump was in office. But now all of a sudden,
yes, I did. Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You was running around talking about Sleepy Joe. You was running around criticizing reporters for asking them questions about COVID-19.
No.
You weren't saying nothing
Mr.
about
Ivey.
You did not say anything in any way, shape, or form about holding Trump accountable to deliver equity policy intangibles for black folks at all. But now all of a sudden, it's all about they got to deliver.
Okay, Mr. Ivey, I did speak about equity intangibles that were delivered by the Trump and Pence administration. They delivered with the lowest unemployment in history. And don't give me that bull that, it was on Obama's watch.
That was on Obama's watch.
The fact is, while Trump was president, black unemployment, jobs, was the lowest in history, as well for Hispanics, as well as black women, entrepreneurs, new businesses open up, black home ownership went up, poverty amongst black Americans went down under the Trump administration. All those tangibles and the equity is out there, and I mentioned it. And every time I mentioned it, I was shot down by you, the host, talking about, well, he ain't doing nothing. What about black people? What Republican gonna do for black people? Black people are Americans before they are Democrats. So all the equity intangibles that were given or presented or delivered by the 45th president of the United States was clear because of what happened in the election, with 74 million people wanted him to be reelected. So again, Mr. Ivey, come January 21st, I'm going to do what I'm going to do regardless of what I did. Okay? I ain't going back. All I'm going to do is go back and show the hypocrisy that's going to take place in the Biden-Harris administration the same way it took place in the Obama-Biden administration. So let's see. Let's just see. Give him a chance, right, Mr. Ivey? Got to give him a chance to work. So, can I ask you a question, sir?
Absolutely.
Before I get hung up on again.
I didn't hang up on you yesterday, but okay. Absolutely, you can.
Okay, one more question, then I'm going to hang up because I don't want you to lose any more of your audience. Now, Mr. Ivey, what do you think, based on the things that were mentioned during the Democrat presidential primaries, what do you think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Barack Obama will pick as the first piece of legislation to go through the Senate, which will be led by Senator Chuck Schumer from New York, without obviously nothing to do with coronavirus? I'm talking about separate from coronavirus, because we know that 2000 is coming. But what do you think his first pick should be, Mr. Ivey? And I will hang up and listen to your answer and how you react to my science that Drop Squad 52 dropping science to anyone who wants to catch it. Now it's time to govern. That's for Democrats. Peace.
Appreciate the call, brother. So I think that, and again, Barack Obama won't be a part of it unless he's going to be an advisor. It's very cynical for you to keep saying the third Obama term. No, this is the first Joe Biden-Harris term. Now, are they going to be influenced by some of the work that wasn't finished because of the obstructionist actions of the Republican Party during the Obama administration? Oh, obviously. But in my opinion, I think the number one thing they need to do legislatively is start working on that black agenda. That's the number one thing they need to do. They need to deliver for the black voters that delivered for them. That's number one. Okay, that to me should be their number one legislative priority. In terms of the first priority, it should be delivering them checks. Release the cash. Release the Kraken. Release the cash. Those should be the first two things, right? Through executive order or whatever means, release the cash, 2,000, if not more, to the people, and then start working on that black agenda to deliver those black agenda items so that you can shore up your base, your most loyal part of your base, which is black voters to the Democrat Party. Joe Biden would not be in office right now, or he would not be the president-elect if it wasn't for black voters in South Carolina and black voters all over the country. The Democrat Party needs to rethink the primary process, and we should not be starting the primaries, the electoral process of choosing a Democrat nominee. It should not start in places that are not densely populated by black voters. I'm just saying that should be their number one priority. If you don't deliver for the black voters that delivered for you, and if in fact we find out that John Ossoff wins in Georgia, it'll be because of the newly registered black voters and others, but black voters primarily. If you don't deliver for them early and often, you're going to lose them, period. That's what's going to happen. If black voters don't feel like, oh, I'm getting something out of coming out and it wasn't just about voting against Trump, but I'm actually voting for something, then what you're going to risk, Democrat Party, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, is that in 2 years, in 2022, you're going to lose that momentum. If you deliver and you putting smiles on the faces of black voters, then black voters are going to feel you in 2 years and then again in 4 years. We want results. We want tangibles. We want equity. We want policy, and nothing else is going to give. We don't want tokenisms. The first black person to lead this department. That's great, but that's not equity, policy, and tangibles. We want deliverables. In a year, black voters should be able to say that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is out there fighting for us one way or another. The same way Trump was fighting for these goofy fuckers out here, fighting for the rich, even when it didn't make sense. We want to see that same energy for us, because that's the energy that got you in office. Period. That's what I think. And see, a rising tide lifts all boats. The effort to lift those people with those black agenda items will lift the rest of America. It'll lift working class America. Invest in working class America. That's what they need to be doing. And he needs to be unapologetic about it. He needs to be fearless about it. He needs to be upfront about it. And it don't really matter what the opposition says. The same way Trump brought that energy, that's the energy we looking for. And nothing else is going to satisfy us. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you got, I think, a significant portion of the black electorate that voted for him that's sitting back like, this motherfucker ain't going to do nothing. Watch. You got a significant portion of black people that voted, or maybe they didn't vote, that's waiting to pounce and say, see, I told you. They waiting. They waiting to say, told you this motherfucker wasn't gonna do nothing. Told you. So, the way you combat that cynicism is you put a full throw effort into delivering for the people that deliver for you. Biden, simple as that. I mean, this is real. This ain't rocket science, man. This is easy. This is super easy. But let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Nathan. Joe Eaton. You want to change it up today?
Hey, what's going on? Who is this again?
Joe Eaton with Buckeye Firearms.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
Yes, they call him the duty of retreat.
Yeah, I sure did, man. How you been, Joe?
We've been out there working. It's a lot going on today, though.
Yeah, it is, man. Yeah, you guys have been working and and unfortunately, in my opinion, you've been successful. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. A little bit. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of some of this stuff, man. But for folks who don't remember you, because it's been some time, man, since we had you on the show, Just tell people who you are and the organization that you represent.
Buckeye Firearms Association is an advocacy group in Ohio that supports Second Amendment rights. So I volunteer as a region leader for them in the Cincinnati area.
Okay. And you do a lot of media. I heard you, I don't know, it wasn't any time recently, might have been a few years back. I heard you on another radio show in the Cincinnati market, doing what you do. So you do a lot of media for them?
I do. Mainly one of the few points of contact down here that have enough flexibility that I can skip away for a few minutes and talk to whoever wants to talk about it and have a good discussion.
Okay, great. Want to make sure, give me a thumbs up in the chat room if you can hear Joe right loud and clear. I want to make sure everybody can hear our conversation as we get started this morning. Just give me a thumbs up, making sure you can hear Joe. You hear me fine, Joe? Everything's good?
I've got you perfect.
Got me perfect. Okay, great. Well, let's get into it, man. So there's a lot of concern about the fact that the governor signed, the House Bill 175? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it was Senate Bill 175.
Senate Bill 175, right? Yep. Because as I've come to understand it, it expands. Does two things. Number one, it removes the duty to retreat and expands where you can stand your ground. Is that correct, to your knowledge?
Pretty much so, yeah. The main focus of the bill was civil immunity for nonprofit youth groups, community groups, churches. If they choose to include firearms as part of their safety plan. But also it did change the duty to retreat law in Ohio also. That was added on as it moved through the House and the Senate both. So
right.
Basically what it does is say that, no longer in Ohio if you're the victim of a violent crime, location doesn't matter on your ability to be able to protect yourself or your family, because we've had what was labeled castle doctrine, became law in Ohio back in 2008, which, basically removed the duty to retreat from your automobile or your home back over 12 years ago. This update simply says that, the location of where somebody is the victim of violent crime doesn't matter. They can protect themselves in their driveway just like they could if they're sitting in their car or if they're sitting in their home.
Right. Well, you said the victim of a violent crime. As I understand it, it's like before you if you think your life is threatened. So before you become a victim, as I understand it, if you perceive that you're about to become a victim, then you don't have to retreat. You can use lethal force. Is that correct?
Well, it did not change anything with the ability to use lethal force in Ohio. You still have to meet the requirements that have been laid out in case law over the past decades and decades, which is number one. The first thing they say is, did you start the altercation? That's the first hurdle has to be overcome. The second thing is you have to be in immediate fear of death or serious bodily harm and have no other option besides deadly force to avoid that death or serious bodily harm. Mm-hmm. Those two are still law before and after this Senate bill. What changed is there was kind of a redundant and an arbitrary section in the past case law, which said also if there is a way to retreat and somebody says that after the fact, then you can't claim self-defense. So, the law still says that you have to be in immediate fear of death or serious bodily harm and have no other option besides deadly force before you can claim self-defense in Ohio. And that was the same before and the same after. And that's where things get lost in this, is that, the hurdles that you have to pass to claim self-defense should be very high. And, it also helps to clarify that, the Dayton shootings were an example. I mean, it's horrendous to think that, you and I as a citizen that, may have tools and training and we choose to carry firearms or, any other weapon. The self-defense does not pertain to firearms specifically, but to any way you choose to protect yourself and your family. But, if you see your family or friends, being attacked or in a violent event like that, having the law require you to turn around, retreat, and leave your friends and family there at the hands of violence just seems unacceptable. Putting that type of legal burden on somebody, I don't think any of us would agree is a good idea. Again, all situations, if possible, leaving and retreating is the safest and smartest thing to do. But, having a legal requirement that would force you to leave your family members at the hands of a violent attack just is not something I think most people would agree with.
Hey, Joe, are you on speaker by any chance?
Headset.
Headset.
Try to switch to the phone.
Can you switch to the phone? I think we get better reception that way. Speaking with Joe Eaton with the Buckeye Firearms Association, we're talking about Senate Bill 175. You still there, Joe?
How's this sounding now?
Oh, that sounds a whole lot better, Joe. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. Every other reporter this week has said that the headset sounded better. So,
really?
Yeah.
This sounds so much better.
Going over the internet, it may be different. Good deal. So,
yeah, I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned about a lot of this, and I'm trying to figure out, did we go forward or do we move backwards? And I'm speaking from the perspective of a black man. Okay, so as a black man living in these times, I'm concerned about giving any more legal protection from people who might, because of their fear, their phobias of black folks, might decide that I'm a threat when I'm not really a threat, and then use lethal force and get away with it. And so there's a lot of black people that is still a pain point, which is Trayvon Martin. That comes up a lot with Stand Your Ground. I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but in the black community, Stand Your Ground is not looked at very highly. As a matter of fact, the Cincinnati NAACP put out a statement urging that the governor not sign this. In fact, he veto it because, in their words, they feared that it would be a threat to black people. Are you aware of these concerns from the black community, and what's your opinion about it?
The concerns that you bring up and that, other people have voiced also are, concerns that continue to be brought up each time that legislation such as this has been discussed. And, Ohio has been talking about removing this duty to retreat, going back to, even before we had it enacted in your home or your automobile. And, the concerns simply have not came to fruition in Ohio. I mean, we've had over 12 years of seeing this work with regard to no duty to retreat from a home or from an automobile, and with the change of actually making, drawing a blank now, but basically where used to be that self-defense was an affirmative defense in Ohio, where you were guilty and you had to prove yourself innocent. Changing the burden of proof to the prosecution to prove that, it was a crime and not self-defense has helped a lot of people in Ohio, because again, simply having a fear does not meet the legal requirements. And, the argument can go back and forth, and I agree wholeheartedly that, simply having a legal requirement does not help or provide any recourse if somebody is illegally harmed in any way. And that can go either way by, as you're saying, somebody has a fear and acts inappropriately. But, the thing is that we've got to have a clear definition, and we should be out there helping people understand more on how these situations work. I mean, I think one of the most outrageous things is so much of the reporting on this through media and even, the path that you're going down is implying that this gives people any more right to use deadly force than it did before. And it simply doesn't. Deadly force, the bar to claim that as self-defense is intentionally set very high in Ohio and is still set just as high in Ohio. And I think that's where everyone can work together to help educate people and help them understand that all this change does is simply say it does not matter where you or a loved one are attacked at or are the victim of a violent crime. You have the same right to self-defense, whether I'm sitting in my car, whether I'm sitting in my house, or whether I'm walking in my driveway or any place else. That's the key parts of this legislation that we need to make people aware of, as well as, what the exact bars are and the repercussions of incorrectly claiming self-defense.
Yeah, I remain unconvinced, and that's why I invited you on, because I know you're very knowledgeable on this in ways that I'm not. So I'm hoping to get some understanding from this. So in your initial statement, you said that a lot of people feel like this will lower the bar in terms of, allowing citizens to use lethal force. And you said it doesn't do that. Well, if it doesn't do that, then what's the point of it then? Isn't that the whole point of removing the duty of retreat, is to allow citizens to use lethal force when they feel like their life is in jeopardy?
So, well, to look at exactly what the bill does, are you saying that the location somebody is the victim of a violent crime should matter on how they can protect themselves or their family? Should I have any less legal ability to keep myself or my family alive outside of my car or my home than I do inside my car or my home? If I step out of my car into my driveway, should I suddenly lose any of my rights or ability to keep myself or my family safe?
Well, you didn't answer my question. So again, I will answer your question, but my question is if this doesn't expand where citizens can use lethal force, then what's the point of it? What's the point of removing the right to retreat or the duty to retreat? Because that's exactly what it does, right?
It removes it from locations where it is required right now. And that is the point of this bill, is that, well over 12 years ago, what was labeled castle doctrine was enacted in Ohio, and we've had 12 years of this law in place. We've had many times that this has saved people. The problem was before this is that even if it was legal self-defense in your automobile or in your home, you and your family have just survived the most horrific event that anybody could imagine going through. And then on top of that, you had the ability for prosecutors where you had to go in and prove that you were right, instead that you were innocent, instead of the way that the law should work. And we'd all been taught since grade school is that you're innocent until proven guilty. So that has been working in place. What this change is saying now is that it doesn't matter, and location should not matter. It did not change the requirements for self-defense. It still is the exact same legal hurdles that you have to reach to claim self-defense. But Senate Bill 175 simply says location of where you're violently attacked does not matter. And that's what, should that matter? Yes or no? I mean, it's,
well, I would
should
say
I have any less rights standing in my driveway than in my car?
Well, I would say it should matter, but it also does something else. It also changes the way that
why would location matter?
I'll tell you why in a second. Location should matter because I think there's a big difference between being in your home or your castle and maybe you're on an interstate highway and you have the ability to remove yourself from a dangerous situation. I mean, I would argue that being in your home, you can't retreat. You're at home. But if you get into a road rage incident and you have the ability to drive away and remove yourself from a dangerous situation, then you should do
that. Exactly. And if you have the ability to remove yourself from the situation standing in your driveway or any place else, you still have the ability to do that. It does not force anything on anybody. What it does is clarify that, if I'm sitting, the location is the key part of this bill. Sitting in an automobile in a parking lot, I had a clear definition of what would qualify as self-defense in Ohio. But as soon as I stepped out of the car to, go to a store or to go visit someone, the ability to use self-defense to protect myself or my family, was different in that point in time. And that just doesn't make a lot of sense. It should be the same across the board.
Again, I mean, yes and no. Like I said, when you're at home, you're at home. You can't look at a citizen being at home as the same as being out in public. It's two different scenarios, right? So when you're at home, I think you can argue that
whether they're
you
in a
can't
home
retreat.
or not.
Well, hold on, Joe. Let me finish. Let me get it all out. I know I'm wrong, but let me get it all out. So when you're at home, I think you can argue that there's nowhere to retreat to because you're at home. That's different than, like I said, you get into a road rage incident and you feel like your life is in danger and you have the ability to drive away previous to this. And now it's kind of like, well, I don't have to or even consider that because they've removed the duty to retreat.
And again, like I said, I think that human life is valuable no matter where it's at. And the other problem we run in with, which I think you'll agree on, is that the court systems screw up so much out there that, you can't trust things to be left to the court systems. The issues that we had with when we first worked on Castle Doctrine and, removed the duty to retreat from the home and the automobile was simply because there were terrible court decisions out there. There was testimony where a court had ruled that a person could not claim self-defense when they were attacked in their home because they had the option of retreating out of a second floor window. Or another one was actually in the prison system where the court ruled that that the person who was attacked had a duty to retreat from a locked jail cell. Now, how in the world you would think anybody could come to a conclusion that is even possible or feasible just baffles the mind. But there was some court out there that screwed up so badly that that's the type of decisions we got when you put these arbitrary restrictions on people's ability to keep themselves safe.
But Joe, those two examples, did they happen in Ohio? Well, then they're irrelevant.
I can't say for certain.
Well, then it's irrelevant.
Been 12 years since we had the testimony in there.
Yeah, but it's irrelevant.
And
then,
I believe they were because, what's that?
I said if it didn't happen in Ohio, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to what we're talking about because it wouldn't have an impact either way in terms of Senate Bill 175. Since you want to talk about an example.
Well, those were testimony for the original Castle Doctrine, so I would tend to assume that they were in Ohio because that was what they were brought up with relative to the laws here in Ohio changing 12 years ago.
To me, this seems like, speaking with Joe Eden with the Buckeye Firearm Association, we're talking about Senate Bill 175 that, among other things, removes the duty to retreat. I still believe it's a threat to the black family, Joe, 100%, because you got folks out there that are afraid of a black planet. And they get in their feelings about black folks, non-white folks. And I'm concerned that they may see a black man such as myself or a black woman and feel like there's some kind of threat and react. I mean, there's many examples in the state of Ohio where white folks have called 911 on black people because they feel like they're doing something suspicious, and we find out nothing has happened. And I just can't trust those kind of people with not having a duty to retreat. As you said, if human life is precious, then what's wrong with the duty to retreat? Which leads me to my question, where are the examples? What's leading this? Why is this so important to remove the duty to retreat? Are there examples, relevant modern examples in Ohio where people lost their lives and or were jailed because they acted or didn't act because they didn't have or they had a duty to retreat?
I don't have any of those as handy for me at this point in time, but the main fact is that human life and the ability to keep yourself and your family safe should be the same no matter where you're at. And going back to your comments about the people irrationally fearing for themselves, those type of decisions and thoughts and actions were illegal before this and are still illegal after that. None of that has changed whatsoever. And that is the fact. None of that has changed. If that happened before Senate Bill 175, it was illegal. And if it happens after, it is still illegal. But the thing that, you have to think about is, there's always a minority of people out there abusing the law, breaking the law, or acting inappropriately. And, as a whole, I think, and, I don't know if you'll agree, I think that people are overwhelmingly good people looking to do the right thing in the right situations. And so we are going to get the greater good out of this type of change than we are from these very, very small minorities that are going to look at this inappropriately. And it goes back to my comment earlier. I think that's where the media and, people such as yourself that discuss this need to really clarify that, this change does not impact when and what is self-defense in Ohio. It simply removes an additional burden from people who are the victim of crime, because you can't claim self-defense, you can't claim duty to retreat or anything until you're actually a crime victim. And those are the people we should be protecting and empowering. And we should look at how we can better protect people who are the victim of a crime. Because if I'm not the victim of a crime, then I can't claim self-defense, and duty to retreat has absolutely no impact in that situation.
Joe, you're giving me talking points, man. And I got to be honest with you. I'm going to be frank with you. A lot of what you just said is either disingenuous or it's misdirected. I got to be straight with you, man, because I'm still trying to figure out.
Let me know where I'm wrong at, please.
I will. I'm still trying to figure out, why is this so important? Like, why are the Second Amendment folks like yourself, why have you been pushing for this if there's no evidence that there's a real problem with the way things were previous to this? Like, I mean, where are the examples where, because there was a duty to retreat, that somebody lost their life? Where are the examples in the state of Ohio where, previous to the passing and signing of Senate Bill 175, that people were being unjailed because they exercised their right to self-defense and ended up in jail? Where are the examples of it? I don't see any of them.
Well, okay. As I said, I don't have exact examples of that, but you can pose the question the other way. How can you tell me that no person who died from a violent crime, at no point in time in Ohio's history, it said, I cannot protect myself or my family. I've got to try and do this duty to retreat first. And that decision-making loop, that hesitation, that additional burden on them cost them or their family members their lives. I mean, it's something that, that should be a level playing field. It should be something that the law is consistent, not something you have to think, am I in my car? Am I out of my car? Am I on my house? If I'm standing on my porch, I have a duty to retreat. If I'm standing in my foyer, I don't have a duty to retreat. That is not the way we should be writing laws in Ohio, or anywhere. Because again, the more vague that the laws are, the more chances are for it to be improperly applied by courts or prosecutors, and is more likely that otherwise innocent, good people will be caught up in a system that I think we could both probably agree barely works.
Especially for black people, Joe, you're right about that. So here and
that's something I can't speak for, but I will not argue that fact at all.
Well, exactly. So my theory is that, on the surface, the laws support everybody. Everybody's the same, but we understand. I mean, the history books are filled up and the jails are filled up with black folks who are over incarcerated for doing the same things and the same crimes that white folks committed. The same. That's what happens. And so my fear is that a white person.
And that's why it's important to clarify the law, so that when you have these vague things such as, well, was there also a duty to retreat, even though we know there was no other way to avoid this, should be clarified, because, it can be misapplied. And if it's misapplied to your community more so, then, you supporting these changes and these clarifications and removing all the nonsense out there that somebody with whatever type of bias or grudge or anything else could use to improperly apply to somebody else, I think should be something that you're supporting and helping us work on, because that's the whole key is, even if the world is not a level playing field, having the rules leveled out for everybody has got to be our first start. And, then if it's the court systems, if it's the judges, if it's the lawyers, that is an entirely different problem. But having the rules set and clear and defined has got to be the first step. Otherwise, then your chances of misuse and abuse go through the roof.
I read that the police association in Ohio opposed removing the right to the duty to retreat. Did you read that?
And they opposed concealed carry back in 2004, and they've opposed everything else. Why that is what the executives and the law enforcement decide, I've not been able to come up with a good reasoning for. They oppose concealed carry. Can we at least agree that the concealed carry now for, what are we at, 16, 17 years in Ohio has worked well, has saved lives, has been a benefit to the people of Ohio?
I mean, I can hear that you're prepared for it, but, back to my question. I mean, we're not talking about concealed carry. We're talking about the passage of SB 175. I mean, this is the police association that opposed it. And to me, that says something.
Okay.
Do you think that...
Yeah, they oppose concealed carry also. Would we be better off today if we would have let their opposition stop concealed carry in Ohio? Would more Ohioans be alive today if we had said there's still no concealed carry because the police unions object to it?
I can't answer that. I can't tell you whether more Ohioans would be alive today or not. Do you think that... I'm trying to get back to why this is so important. I mean, other than this just being like a bullet point on a big list of things that the Second Amendment crowd wants to have, I'm trying to figure out what this really means for Ohioans. So do you think that the passage of Senate Bill 175 in Ohio is going to increase or decrease, violence, incidences of violence in Ohio?
I think it will have no impact on violence in Ohio. What it will have an impact on is people's ability to keep themselves safe from violence once they are the victim of violence. Because this law does not increase violence. It does not come into effect until you are the victim of a crime. If
or
you
perceive
not had
you're going to be the victim of a crime.
violent act perpetrated against you, you can't claim self-defense, and you can't even worry about duty to retreat.
Or you perceive that you're going to... See, you keep saying that's not necessarily true. It's about the perception.
Perception is not what the law says. The law says you have to be in immediate fear of death or serious bodily harm.
And fear is a perception.
You have to have that fear, because if I wait until I'm dead, I have no option.
Right.
I can't wait until somebody actually seriously harms me or kills me to do anything.
So it's based upon perception,
fear
Joe.
has to be part of the law.
So it's based upon perception. Fear, perception. They're very closely related. It's based upon people's perception that they are going to be the victim of a crime. Because like you said, you don't have to wait until somebody shoots you.
And if they can't, it's a crime.
Right. In 2012, a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research of 21 states found that self-defense laws do not deter crime. In fact, what they found is that homicides increased by 8%.
And, you'll find studies that look at a different set of years and a different set of criteria and find just the opposite.
Can you recall any right now?
Back to, pardon?
Can you recite any right now? I'd love to hear, because I'm trying to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, I mean, look at John Lott's county-by-county study across the United States of concealed carry laws enacted in the late 1990s. And, overall, the thing that he separated from it, which I don't know the study if you're looking at, is separating violent and personal crime from property crimes. His study showed that when a county in one state that butts right up against a county in another state enacted legal concealed carry, their violent crime rates dropped by between 6 and 8%. Unfortunately, it seemed, for whatever reason, property crimes in those counties increased. So, if you look at crime overall, a lot of it was offset by an increase in property crimes. But I think we can all agree that if we have a world where there is less violent and personal crime, we're better off no matter what. Arguing statistics and all of that, because you can get the numbers to say whatever you want them to say, but it all comes down, and I say this time and time again, if you are the victim of a violent attack, have you yourself or your family member or your loved one, have they had every opportunity to decide on their own how they want to keep themselves and their family safe? Or has the government put some arbitrary, vague restriction, some possibility that, I have to wait or decide, or I can't keep my life safe? It all comes down to that moment in time when the violence is perpetrated against you or a loved one. If we could write magic words that would eliminate violent crime out there, people a lot smarter than me and you would have written them down on a piece of paper a long time ago. And what I strive for is the personal decision. You make the decisions that work for you, and the law and the playing field should be as level and clear as possible as a start. And, you can argue whether the court systems and the prosecutions are fair from that point on, but that's a totally different argument.
They're not.
And one that I won't disagree with you on.
They're not. The court system and the prosecutors are not fair. So this Senate bill, or the passage of Senate Bill 175, was opposed by law enforcement, prosecutors, and of course, anti-gun violence activists. On the other side, it seems like this is a major victory for the firearms lobby, the Gun Owners Association. In my opinion, Joe, I think we got a lot more unsafe in the state of Ohio. Let me give you a quick story here. About 10 years ago, this is a real story. It happened in Cincinnati and Hamilton County. A man goes out to warm up his car. Let's say it was a cold day in Cincinnati, and he leaves the car running.
Oh, I agree. The homeowner should have been prosecuted.
You know where I'm going with this?
The fact that they did not bring charges against him.
Let me get it out, though.
In my opinion, absurd.
Let me get it. I know maybe I brought this up to you before. So the homeowner leaves the keys in the car. Somebody comes across, gets into his car, steals the car with the intent of stealing the car, drives off. But it's a cul-de-sac. The young man drives the wrong way in the cul-de-sac, which means he has to turn around and drive past the house that he just stole the car from. The homeowner, the car owner, runs into the middle of the street, fires the gun, shoots and kills the individual, and the current Hamilton County prosecutor, Joe Dieters, no charges. So in that world, why would we need an expansion of the right for people to shoot and kill on individuals? That's the world we live in already.
The fact that a prosecutor is wrong and in that jurisdiction doesn't change the fact that we need clarification and a level playing field across the world. And I'm very familiar with that with that case, and truly, I'm aghast that was the decision that they made. But again, that's not a problem with the law. The law is very clear. The case law is very clear. It simply says you cannot have started or escalated the situation. And I think most people would agree leaving your house, running to the middle of the street was starting or escalating the situation. I can't speak to why or how that was not the determination. But again, the law is very clear, and that's a different story if it's not applied. But again, that's part of what Senate Bill 175 does, is even as clear and defined as the case law is on that in Ohio, there's still times when it's misused. So having any vague or redundancy or location-based type of absurdity in the law is something that we should not allow, because again, it's another chance for it to be even further misused. But you keep going back to how it's misapplied, and I won't disagree with that. But do you want to have yourself in your community, if you're sitting in your driveway and you open your car door and one foot hits the ground, that you now have additional restrictions on yourself to keep yourself and your family safe?
But see, Joe,
that's absurd. Or do you want to be sitting in your car and have a prosecutor say, well, the door was open, I bet his foot was on the ground, and since that makes him out of his car, we have this whole other set of rules that Nathan has to follow.
But that's the point. That's the point of me bringing it up, Joe. I didn't just want to take you back in a time machine. I was leading somewhere, because I brought that up to make this point. You got me
spun up again. You're always good at that, though.
Yeah, I do what I do, man. I brought that up to make a point, Joe. And my point is it seems to me that the argument for Senate Bill 175 is predicated on inaccurate assumptions. And inaccurate assumptions that prosecutors file homicide charges against people who justifiably use self-defense. And where are the examples of prosecutors in the state of Ohio who are filing homicide charges against people who justifiably use self-defense? I haven't seen it.
And what I'm saying is, do not even give them the opportunity to try to do that. Make it so clear that they should have less opportunity to do that.
But you're jumping ahead of yourself. You're assuming a problem before there is a problem.
No, I'm saying that there is more of a chance of a problem if there are confusing and vague areas of the law, and that's what we're clearing up. A good example, we had a testimony on a different bill for the duty to notify police officers that you're a concealed carry license holder, which is a requirement in Ohio. If you're contacted by a police officer for any official duty and you're carrying a concealed handgun, you have to notify the officer. Otherwise, you're guilty of failure to notify. There was testimony here in Ohio of a person who had an interaction with law enforcement. It was an accident, an emergency scene of some type. He notified the first 4 police officers that showed up. A 5th one showed up on the scene. He couldn't tell that there was a different person there, and that officer decided to charge him with duty to notify. So again, that you would think is an absurd outcome for a situation. He notified 4 people, didn't notice a 5th one showed up. But the fact that the law allows for this loophole and allows for the ability for this law to be misused is something that none of us should agree with, because I hope you would agree that that's a misuse of the law. Yes, it was illegal. He was required by law to notify every single law enforcement officer he came into contact with. But my God, he had done 4 out of them and hadn't noticed the 5th one. What good does it come from making criminals out of people for issues like that? What good does it?
But see, you're doing it again, though.
To say
who's been made a criminal?
Of my violent attack matters.
But Joe, you just did it again. It's an inaccurate assumption. Who has been made a criminal? Give me the cases. Give me the examples in the state of Ohio where somebody whose life was in jeopardy used lethal force to preserve their life for self-defense, and then prosecutors charged them with homicide. It hasn't happened.
Okay, I go back to the Castle Doctrine. Does it make sense that somebody should have to retreat out of a locked jail cell?
It would make sense that before you offer a solution to a problem, that there actually be a problem, Joe. And that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to figure out where is the energy behind this. There's no problem.
See, what you're...
In the state of Ohio, Joe, if you have a concealed and carry permit, right, and you got a weapon on you, and then somebody pulls out on you or your life is in jeopardy and you use force, you are not going to be prosecuted for homicide in the state of Ohio. Because if it's been happening, then tell me where it's happened. I like to look it up.
Okay, so then why should it matter where the location is? Why should that matter any at all? What does the fact that you're in your car or in your home or you're any place else the law legally should be matter?
I think I answered that earlier. Again, I would look at someone's home much different than if somebody's in public. So if you're in public and you're in your car,
my family's life are worth the same.
I can't hear you, Joe. I'm not sure if you put the headset back on or not. I can't. You're kind of breaking up a little bit. But yes, to me, there's a difference between being in your castle, being in your home, being in your residence, and being in public. Let's say you're on the interstate highway. You get into a road rage incident. You think somebody flashes a gun, and you got multiple avenues to get away from them. I think you should have to take them, as opposed to just bringing out your weapon and just firing shots because you feel like your life is in danger.
Okay, it is not whether you feel like your life is in danger. It is whether a reasonable person would fear for death or serious bodily harm. That hasn't changed, and nothing has changed before. And, I would argue the fact that your life, my kids, your kids, their all lives are worth exactly the same, no matter whether I'm in my house, whether I'm in public, or whether I'm in my car.
To me,
if you want to put a different value on your family's lives, no matter where they're at, or put additional burdens on yourself and other people to keep your family safe, I just don't understand that.
I just don't understand Senate Bill 175. To me, this sounds like a proposal or a solution that's looking for a problem. This is a solution that's looking for a problem because there is no problem. In Ohio, if you use self-defense, right, and you justify the use of self-defense to preserve your life, you're not going to be charged with homicide, especially if you're white. It's not going to happen. It hasn't been happening. So this is a solution in search of a problem, and you might find the problem, Joe. But listen, man, I want to give you the last word. Where can people find your organization and your work and all that stuff?
They can go to buckeyefirearms.org, or if they want weekly updates on what's happening. We are a nonpartisan political action committee. So, if you know of good politicians out there that support Second Amendment rights, let us know. We have a political action committee that we can help them with the elections. We also have a nonprofit educational charity for any schools, churches, or businesses that, include firearms in their safety plan, to provide them training. If we're going to have guns in the schools, they cannot be in the hands of criminals or untrained people. So that's part of what our nonprofit does, along with suicide prevention as it relates to firearms, youth firearm safety training. So we do a whole lot here in the state of Ohio.
And again, I hope that you and your organization get busy, man, because we had a mass shooting in 2019. And to this point, the state legislature has done nothing in terms of gun control, gun reform, even the things that Governor Mike DeWine has put on the table that he says he's in favor of. None of that has been passed. 100-round drum magazines,
exactly.
Things like that. None of that has been passed to make us safer in the state of Ohio. So I would love to see you and your organization get on the right side of this, man, because like I said, I still remain inconvinced by your argument this morning. It is what it is. Hopefully the audience got something out of it. But I feel like we took a step in the wrong direction.
So.
With
I love
this.
talking to you.
Yeah, most def, Joe. Hey, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Enjoy your day. Be safe, man.
You too. That's Joe Eaton, everybody, with the Buckeye Firearms Association. I remain unconvinced. Like I said, this is a solution looking for a problem. In Ohio, give me the examples where an Ohio prosecutor charged a citizen with homicide that used force while protecting themselves. Because I haven't seen it. Now, if we saw a lot of cases like that, then it would make sense. Senate Bill 175 would make sense. But to me, this was just like, these Second Amendment rights folks, they got a big list of things they want to see just because they want to see them, because it fits their political viewpoint and their view of the world where guns solve everything. And they just running down the list, no matter what the collateral damage is going to be whatsoever. And that's the reason why I brought that example of these prosecutors, from what I've seen in Ohio, are very sympathetic towards citizens, business owners, when they use force, lethal force, when they were the victim of a crime. That's what I've seen. I've seen nothing other than that. Here in Hamilton County, we already know Joe D's going to let you roll. Like I said, this really happened. This man ran into the middle of the street and killed somebody, put himself in harm's way. No charges with Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters whatsoever. But now we need to expand the castle doctrine to your car. Ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. No example. Show me the money. Show me the examples of it. There are no examples that I've been able to find where in the state of Ohio, citizens who were justifiably using force for their own self-defense or the self-defense of their families, who were charged with homicide because they did something wrong. That's not what happens. These prosecutors have wide latitude to decide what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. They got wide discretion and they use it. Here in Hamilton County prosecutor use it. You ain't going to jail. You're not even going to be charged. That's the truth. Unless you're black, then you got a problem. Let's keep it all the way funky. Let's keep it all the way real. That's the truth about it. But I appreciate the conversation, though. 513-873-7134. It's a threat to the black family. That's what it is. Simple as that. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust these folks in this state to have that kind of responsibility, and I don't think you should either. It is a solution searching for a problem. That's all it is. And it's backwards. There should be a problem first, then we offer the solution. But that's just me. You tell me what you think. 513. We have some people who's trying to get in. 513-873-7134. You should have the duty to retreat. If you don't have to kill another human, you shouldn't have to kill him. You shouldn't have to kill him. Forte called in yesterday. He made an excellent point. So you got police officers who are highly trained with firearms, trained for those kind of situations. And they're, oops, my bad, killing people. So what do you expect from somebody who's not trained? We don't know what their mental state is. We don't know what their emotional state is. We don't know if they're on drugs or not. We don't know what their background is. And I'm supposed to trust this? All this is the Second Amendment crowd has a long list with bullet points on it, and they just checking the list because it satisfies their political philosophy and their view of the world. And in their view of the world, you can solve the panacea for all of our problems is guns. Oh, you got a problem? Guns. Not feeling good? Guns. Got a headache? Guns. Got bubble guts? Guns. Guns is the panacea for everything for them. Oh, you got a headache? Well, damn, if we had 200 round ammo magazines, you wouldn't have a headache, right? That's their rationale for everything. It doesn't mean it makes sense. Quote, black people are going to die disproportionately compared to white people. That's a quote from Rep. Stephanie House, Democrat from Cleveland. Yeah. How many black people did they talk to before they passed this? I meant to ask Joe this, but how many black folks are in the Buckeye Farms Association in terms of who sets the agenda for the Political Action Committee? Probably not many. Nobody say drop. Don't say drop. Don't say drop. That's not fair. But what do you think about the conversation? You tell me what you think. Lee writes, a lot of innocent people are going to lose their lives over nonsense. Potentially. I hope not. But potentially. You should have a duty to retreat in the state of Ohio. All they did was make it more difficult to prosecute people once they decide, I had to fear for my life. How many times we heard that? We heard this from law officers, highly trained individuals. This is what they do. Oops, my bad. I thought, right? Remember Bruce Hoffbauer when he killed that unarmed black man? He had his partner was standing right next to him, never fired a shot. So what's reasonable? You got two officers, one fires a shot and uses lethal force, the other one does not. What's reasonable? So all that reasonable, man, we're living in days and times where people think the earth is flat. Reasonable. You got COVID-19 deniers. You got mofos running around here talking about the election was stolen by Joe Biden. Reasonable? I don't even know what that is anymore. Reasonable? We got a Hamilton County prosecutor who thought it was reasonable to not charge a woman because she forgot her baby in the car all day and the baby died. That was reasonable? I don't even know what reasonable is anymore. We're beyond reasonable. That's our grandfather's generation. We on some dumb-ish these days and times. Reasonable? I don't even know what that means. Reasonable. But thank you for being here. What'd you think about Joe? Again, I want to be fair with him because I'm really trying to get to the truth of the matter. I want to be convinced to some degree. I remain unconvinced after our conversation. I'm not moved a bit. Like I said, I feel like it's a big list of things that the Second Amendment crowd, people like the Buckeye Farms Association, which, what did he say? He said PAC. Did you hear that? Not Tupac, but Political Action Committee. See what they doing? What we doing? See what they doing? They're here organizing. They super organized. I mean, I didn't get into it with them. Maybe I should, but that organization is doing a lot of stuff in the state of Ohio. They out here arming cheat teachers, training teachers with firearms. Man, they is super influential in the state of Ohio. What we doing? They're saying that's how they got it done. It's called influence. That's why Mike DeWine signed it. Mike DeWine with no spine. Meanwhile, you got 9 people that were killed in Dayton in a mass shooting back in 2019, August of 2019. And the Republican-led state legislator and our Republican sucker MC governor have done nothing. Nothing. They ain't passed a damn thing that would any way impact what happened in that situation because they don't care. They're caught up with their philosophies and their political perspectives, and that's all that really matters to them. They don't really care about anything else. That's what I see. I'm just saying, I'm keeping it real with you. You tell me what you think. Let me jump inside the chop shop real quick. Mason Mahler writes, if you voted and weighing the pounds, we don't want them on our side. Enough with bootleg wannabes. Black folks are serious about voting. F what you heard. Is that right? CGW is hilarious at 8:13 a.m. this morning. She writes, Drop, I thought you'd be one of the 30,000 clowns outside the White House this morning waiting on your president to act a fool. Yeah, there are about 30,000 clowns outside the White House and in D.C. And they're all protesting the fact that today, and we're learning more about this electoral process and what it means to become a president than we ever knew before. And I'm not telling you I'm some kind of expert on it, but, as I understand it, then Congress is going to meet today to essentially, rubber stamp or officially stamp, imprimatur, however you want to look at it. And maybe that last is imprimatur is the best way of looking at it. They are going to, put the official stamp on the electoral college votes today. And Trump he's got his side. They all in their feelings about losing an election. I mean, listen, I'll say it again to all the Trumpsters. If he was a better president during COVID-19, he would have won. If Trump would have handled COVID-19 with some damn sense, he would have won. He would have beaten Joe Biden. I 100% believe that. I think that what turned for him was the fact that he didn't take COVID-19 seriously. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And he just looked like a damn clown. He looked like an absolute buffoon. And I think it cost him. The man got 70 million votes, the second highest vote tally of any U.S. president or any presidential candidate. I think he would have won. He blew it. And sometimes you got to say, you know what? Damn. I sunk my own battleship and just move on. But Trump can't do that. And it says a lot about these people that they all caught in their feelings. They're going to hit the streets and they're going to protest. And so Black Lives Matter, they're wrong to hit the streets and protest when unarmed black people get killed by civil servants that they pay for. But it's okay for the Proud Boys and the Trumpsters to hit the streets to argue against the fact that the election was lost by the president, fair and square. I read a little bit of a news report, not a little bit, but I read the entire article. I didn't read any of the transcripts from the court itself, but just yesterday there was the 61st lawsuit that was put in place by people who are sympathizing Trump. This was put in place by Wisconsin legislatures, right? Republican legislators. And the judge threw it out with prejudice. The judge said, look, not only do you not have jurisdiction, it never should have came to this court, but there's no facts. There's no facts whatsoever. But again, if you don't know anything about Trump, if you haven't done your homework, then it might surprise you. Trump is a litigious creature. This is what he does. This man will take out loans from a bank, not pay it back, and then sue the bank alleging that they use some kind of unfair lending practices and somehow make it go away. He's been doing this successfully for years. That's why he's doing this. This is all par for the course. All that we're seeing for Trump is nothing new. He's been doing it for years. The man is 70. And you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's what he do. But the fact that he has such an influence on so many Americans, I think is scary and interesting to watch from a 48 Laws of Power type of, lens, if you're into that kind of thing. Joe writes, Nathan, we are doing a lot. Let us know what you want to do and come out and help us in here in Ohio. For people in that state up north, we also went to Detroit back a few months ago to help train over 1,000 shooters with Rick Ector. Well, what I want to do is bring some common sense to your pack. Because obviously y'all not talking to black folks, Joe. So, before the idea runs off the assembly line and goes out to the public, you need to have a black filter, right? That lets you know how this is going to impact and be perceived by the black community and also just the concerned community. Because like I told you, man, Joe, and I appreciate your time this morning, but I remain unconvinced. Like I told you, Senate Bill 175. And again, it's what it is now, but it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. Yeah, things can be reversed. But Senate Bill 175 was a solution looking for a problem. There is no problem. There is no problem with prosecutors in Ohio that are charging people that use self-defense with homicide. There's no problem, Joe. Because if there was, you would have said it. You would have used it this morning. You would have said, well, here's an example, Nate. In Cleveland, a man used self-defense and he was prosecuted, later find out by appeals court. If there were any examples, Joe, you would have put them out there to be on your website. There are none. And that's because you got a big list of priorities. You just checking them off like, yeah, we're winning. And maybe you are winning, for the perspective of your organization. And like I said, I've come to realize just how influential your organization is in the state of Ohio. But it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. I ain't gonna lie to you about it. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Kush writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Put on your mask and strap up. Absolutely. Geneva writes, it's called evil. Your writes, him being a racist didn't help either. Call Me Butterfly writes, good morning, Nathan, from Taiwan, but a native of Cincy. What's up? You in Taiwan? That's interesting. I just got a call from Ghana. Like literally when I was talking to Joe, it said Ghana. But you know what? Oh my God, we got a call on the line. I don't want to have people hold. Let's go straight to the call. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
What up, bro? How you feeling today?
I'm doing great, brother. Sorry about that. I forgot I had you on the line there, man. Getting caught up in the flow. What's your name? Welcome.
My name James, man. I'm just peeping in, watching, listening to you on Facebook. And I had called when the last guy was on there, man. And to be honest, Nate, I wish you would have just nailed his ass down and said that bill 175 is based out of white fear. That's been existing since 1864. They always come up with boogeymans based off of their insecurities. Like they always do that. And I know it's difficult for them to keep it honest because it's, it got overtones of bias, racial bias in there. But I mean, that's obviously what it is. And I wish I could have heard his response to how Mike DeWine handled that case up there in Beaver Creek with the young man getting killed for having a BB gun based off of white people calling the police. And then it so happened the police that showed up already had a previous murder charge of going to somebody's home and then shooting them while they was in their home. And, it's just crazy, like the scenarios that they put out there to justify their fear and won't just say, man, I'm scared. Just say you're scared. I mean, damn, that's what it's based in, y'all fear. I mean, that's why they set up rules for black people not to have canes, not to have dogs, not to be able to come in groups of 2 or 3 on corners and call it loitering laws. I mean, it's based in fear. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, then we can see it in how they handle stuff. Like we see that this pandemic, the fear is what's driving the pandemic. I mean, we understand that. Like, I'm not going to deny that people getting sick, but their response to it, they sickly people. I mean, damn it. I mean, it's not being, no type of way, but damn, y'all sickly people. We can go through y'all history, see how y'all was affected by different viruses. I mean, damn, we know. But besides that point, I just think that the conversation was good from the standpoint of bringing, the conversation and showing us a perspective of what a lot of white men feel. But, I mean, y'all been the most violent people on the face of the earth. For history, you can check at the last FBI stat. Y'all were committing the most violent acts, rapes, murders, gun violence. I mean, the FBI stats back that up. So, why would you go to Flint to teach people 1,000 people Detroit to teach 1,000 people how to shoot instead of taking 1,000 bottles of water? Like they'd be aggressive and all gun-ho towards everything except for the entities that's doing the most, that's doing the worst. I mean, why ain't Flint got no water yet? Why do people still intense in Haiti? Why people still displaced from Katrina? Like, don't bring discussions about guns up that you need to keep your family safe. Just mind your business. I mean, that's easy, Nate. You ain't running around feeling threatened every day that you need to carry a gun because somebody gonna do something to you and your family. No, you being productive. You being about your business. You ain't sticking your nose in other people's business. I mean, and we know that's what they do. I mean, I don't know. I think it's almost like, and I ain't gonna keep ranting, my bad, bro, but it's almost like, you know how somebody will say, the effects of slavery on Black people last 100 or so, 200 years, and you can see it with how they divided, the temperament. They give us all of these post-slavery conditions that we go through. But the same thing worked for white folks. What they suffering with is senses of entitlement. And I could run a list now, but you can kind of see it like, wait, what would give you the audacity to try to make this something apply to everybody? Like where do you get this from? Like, what apply? Your fear doesn't equate to my fear. It's like they want to, what I'm talking about, like just say, hey, this is what it is. Everybody wrong with what we saying. But like, get out of here with all of that. I mean, if you care about people's life, go to the same people that's around fluoride and beating your water. Go to them same people with that same energy and say, according to these stats and according to countries around the world, they're not allowing fluoride. And, like if you care about people's life and you talk about human life is precious, and then he quote a statistic from somebody incarcerated. Like, man, what is, you care about people in jail now? And this is the argument you present to help support that you should be able to not run? Or like, what are you talking about? And see, I think that's what happens when we listen to people that has fear and ulterior motives, biases within their argument. And then you like, man, get out of here with all of this. We sit here in the chop shop listening to him talk, but in reality, man, go on somewhere. We don't even see you. We probably don't even cross circles unless you want to be nosy outside of your business and jump over here and man, get out of here with all of that. We got business to handle. And the business we got to handle don't come with you running around promoting more guns or promoting not running, which is going to benefit police and white people in general. I mean, I don't know, man. I just was listening to it and just, considering history, knowing what's going on. Like, man, get out of here with all of that. I appreciate, your efforts, but keep that over there, man. Go somewhere with all of that. We over here got work to do. Wait, you know what I'm talking about, Nate? Like, man, go on somewhere. What? I mean, it's obvious y'all don't believe that you should back up and run the way that y'all handled Sam DuBose. And the prosecutor, he threw that case. That people, check their memory. And Mike DeWine, he told that the family, like, man, I'm not pressing no charges on that cop for running in there shooting that man. Like, we seeing it. And then all of a sudden, then we over here surprised. Man, let the people knock themselves off the earth. Go ahead, man. Go somewhere. We need to turn in on ourselves, work on ourselves, do what we gonna do, come up with black political parties so we can get our interests put to the forefront. We got to start doing stuff like that. Like, I mean, man, I appreciate you, Joe, but get out of here with all of that, man. We got business to handle.
Hey, James, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate your passion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, most def. That's James calling in. That's why I'm here, though. We here to have a conversation. I ain't trying to change nobody's mind per se. I just want to have a conversation. And I want to have a fair place where we allow people to come in. Because if I shout everybody down, people won't want to come on the show. But it doesn't mean we can't be forceful. But I want to provoke thought. I want people to think about it. And like I said, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I was sincerely like, okay, there must be some laws, some examples out there I'm not aware of where, people are being charged by for homicide and murder who are really just exercising their right to self-defense. But that's not the case. That's not the case. This is just the wish list of the Second Amendment crowd. They just checking the boxes, running through the plays, which to me, with no real concern about how that's really going to affect people. Because many of them live in a world where they're strapped up. They might have 2-3 guns on them. And they feel like a weapon is the panacea for all situations. And you know me, I'm Mr. Second Amendment. I'm all about it. CCW, through this show, we'll train people to get their CCW and then get proficient on the firing round. We'll continue to do that. in this year, the calendar year 2021. I'm all about it. I'm all about telling Black folks to exercise your Second Amendment rights legally, know what your rights are, be smart about it, and protect yourself, because the police might show up, and in most cases are going to show up after the situation, right? I'm all about it. But that doesn't mean that every law is a good law and everything we got to go with. You know, we can think about these things and discuss them. Now, for a lot of folks, this is hitting your radar screen like once it got passed. But we ahead of the curve here on the Nathan Ivey Show. We've been talking about this. We've been talking about this months ago, right? And bringing you information, you know, through my own commentary and then other guests as well. You know, just kind of giving you a way of thinking about this and urging you to reach out to your rep and also the governor and let them know how you feel about it, because that really matters. You know, don't underplay the impact of an email. Don't underplay the impact of a letter. Okay, that can have a huge impact. And how do we know? Because that's what the Buckeye Firearms Association is doing. That's what these other folks are doing. That's what these anti-maskers are doing, right? They hitting up, they're flooding the mailbox with emails. They're flooding with phone calls. We, and by we, I mean those who may feel similarly on these issues about guns or SB 175, we have to do the same thing. It does matter. It will move the needle. It will move the needle. I 100% believe that. It doesn't mean you're going to 100% automatically get what you're looking for, but it will move the needle. Good morning to you. Before we roll out, and we got plenty of time, but before we roll out, man, anybody hip to what Master P is doing? I know it's a sidebar here. I want to, you know, the show is diverse. I like to talk about different things. But Master P is doing a new YouTube channel. It's called Master P Reviews. Are you hip to this? Make him say, that guy. I think that's Master P. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But Master P from No Limit Records, who's got a very interesting story. And I think he hit the news. Not I think, but he was in the news in the last week or so because him and Baron Davis, who was a monster on the court, played for the Clippers. Then he played for the Charlotte Hornets, I believe, for a long time. He was a monster. I used to really enjoy watching that brother ball. But the story is that he, along with Baron Davis and probably some other people, are trying to purchase Reebok for like $2.4 billion with a B. And, you know, that made a lot of news. But he's got a YouTube channel called Master P Reviews, and he is, for entrepreneurs out there, for what he's doing is just trying to bring attention to small businesses. And so it's interesting. You know, they just started it out. But essentially, you know, he started on his Instagram channel. And he's just urging, you know, entrepreneurs to send him products and ideas, and he reviews them on his show. The show is what it is. I love the concept of it and what he's trying to do with it. But I wanted to bring that to your attention, man. I could see that growing. I could definitely see that growing from that YouTube channel. You should check it out. You might find it interesting. And then if you're like somebody that's got product, or you're a small business owner or a business owner, a Black business owner, it might be an avenue for, you know, you to get some visibility on his platform. So anybody else seen that? Anybody saw that? It just came across my Instagram. And again, for anybody who's Instagram friends with me, I got to get a new Instagram account. I keep saying that because my current account is locked. So you can become a friend to my account. The Nathan Ivey Show, I believe, is on Instagram, but I can't like anything. I can put stuff on there, but I got to get a brand new one. So I'll be directing people to a brand new Instagram account real soon. So just so you know, for any of my Instagram folks, I can send a message like a DM, but I can't comment or like anything on Instagram. I don't know what happened. It don't really matter to me anyway, because I was planning on changing it anyway. But I came across it on my Instagram feed, and I'm like, what's this? And it seemed interesting. And then he started doing a YouTube channel. I think he's like 4 or 5 episodes into it, but you know, it's interesting. It's interesting. It's a little something different. I love it. I love the idea of it. Lee writes, the governor looks like he may panic and shoot out of fear. Yes, he does. The governor. Carmelita writes, replying to Nicole Taylor, NFAC. Well, speaking of the NFAC, I go to the Cincinnati Enquirer's website this morning. And was that the Enquirer? Or was it WCPO? Let me double check here. I think it was the Enquirer. And they had a digital above the fold front page, or say digital front page story about, guess who? Grandmaster Jay. And it was written by Kevin Gracia, who wrote the worst article. It was the worst journalism I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, I'll say it again. It was like Bruce Hoffbauer was like the puppet master standing over him while he was writing it and was controlling his fingertips as he was typing it. It was terrible. Worst journalism I've seen in a long, long time. Kevin Gracia. Anyway, but he wrote the piece about Grandmaster Jay, and it was kind of like a "Did you know?" And apparently, I guess it just came to Grandmaster Jay that Kevin Gracia. I'm sorry. Apparently, it just came to Kevin Gracia that Grandmaster Jay lived in Ohio. Now, I didn't know he lived in Ohio either. You know how I found out? It was the Valet Service podcast. It was Fast Pitch. She did an interview with him months ago. And it's another example of how digital media scooping legacy media. Just another example. But she did a sit down with him months ago. I had no idea he lived in Cincinnati. I'm talking about the dude from the Not Effing Around Crew Coalition, whatever it's called, NFAC. Yeah, had a home in Cincinnati. But it was a big story about it, a big digital story about it in the Inquirer this morning. And, you know, it didn't really offer anything new. It just said he had a home and then he got raided and then what he did, and that was it. Had a bunch of pictures of him. I wish that brother the best. Apparently he got charged because he pointed a weapon, and the business end of the weapon at a member of law enforcement, which is a no-no. So he's got to deal with that right now. But I wanted to make that point. And then speaking of FP, of course, yesterday she posted a video. And again, it just happened by coincidence that, you know, she was at her workspace and, you know, you had this tragic shooting that happened, like, I think, beneath her. So I think she's like upstairs in this particular office space, and then something happened in the office space or the commercial space below her, in which we now understand a man lost his life. This was a broad day shooting at 3 p.m. over in, is that Bond Hill? Over in the Bond Hill area, which is just terrible, man. It's the first fatal shooting in 2021. And she was right there, and she caught some of it like live on her live stream. You know what I'm saying? I want to play this for you. In no way do I mean any disrespect to the family. This is just news.
Thing, and I heard about 5 gunshots. 5 gunshots go off. And I knew it was real close. Apparently, it happened at this barbershop that's downstairs in the same office complex that I'm in. If you're familiar with this Roseline area, if you turn, it's on the corner of like Brookcrest and what is this, Blackstone or whatever. Like if you're going into that Roseline office part, it's a barbershop that's right down at the bottom as you turn it into the back parking lot of this office park right over here in Roseline. Y'all know where it's at on Brookcrest. And somebody got shot. Sadly, I hear a girl screaming. I seen a guy look like he was a barber that ran out. I was at my desk at the time when I heard the shot, so I didn't see anything. But there is an active shooting situation going on right now. I don't know who it is. So if y'all know anybody in this area, or if you have, you know, loved ones that go to that barbershop, or if that's your people or whatever, because you can see it's right down beneath me. I'm up on the second floor, and the barbershop is down on the main floor. It's a girl screaming. I feel so bad, man. God. Oh, my God, man. I'm sick of y'all. I'm trying to get y'all a little view. Oh, man.
Just terrible.
I know it's kind of hard to see through this screen. Damn. Y'all can't really see. I can't really show y'all. With the young lady is saying that whoever got shot, it was their first day here at this barbershop. Like they shot him on his first day. That's all I can hear her saying. She's quite hysterical. Oh my God. Oh man.
Yeah, that's just terrible right there. You can watch the rest of it over at, you can find her at Fast Pictures with a Z on Facebook. Damn, that's just terrible right there. That's terrible. And like I talked to her afterward, I had no idea. I wasn't on Facebook yesterday a lot, doing other things. She was shook up about it, as anybody would be. I mean, could you imagine your office and you hear this right below you? Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. Fast Pitch.
Hey, what's up, Fast Pitch?
Nothing. I'm doing okay. Back here at the office.
Yeah, I was just playing that video. How you doing today?
Yeah. I'm doing okay. I'm doing, thankfully, Presley, I'm doing fine. Certainly better than the victim of yesterday's shooting. I found out his name was Kevin Suttles, who's 38 years old, from what is being reported.
So tell us what you saw.
So it was about 3:00 yesterday afternoon, and I was, I was working, and I heard the gunshots, and I knew that they were kind of close. So I went to the window, kind of looked out the window, lifted the window up a little bit, and I could actually smell the gunpowder. So I knew, it was right there. That's when I saw, like I said, a gentleman seemed like he was running from the barbershop, and I heard the young lady who started screaming. And I wanted to clarify, that's a pretty long video that I posted, but what she was saying was that it was his birthday. She wasn't saying his first day. I couldn't understand at first what she was saying, but she was saying that the gentleman who passed away, he got killed on his birthday. So yesterday was his birthday. And that just put a whole another layer, you know what I mean, on top of an already tragic situation.
So you heard it? You heard what did you hear again? Did you hear gunshots or did you hear the voices?
Yeah, I heard the 5 shots. I heard clearly. It was clearly 5 gunshots that I heard. And I was actually talking on the phone to someone at the time, and I said, dang, I just heard 5 gunshots. Let me call you back. So I got off the phone, and that's when I went to look. And, shortly after that, that's when all of the commotion started with the young lady that you could hear in the video. She was just, blood-curdling screams coming from her. Then there were other business owners that were impacted directly who are right down there below. Because, there's a daycare that's right down from where that shooting happened. It sits right on the corner of Reading Road and Brookcrest. There's a daycare there. There's several other businesses there, and people are always frequenting that area. Children walking by there, residents walking their dogs and getting their exercise. So it's a pretty busy, residential area. But once I heard that, like I said, that was 3:00 in the afternoon. Shortly after that, police responded. And what was interesting is because of where I was able to get a lot of the police commentary as well, just amongst themselves and what they were saying and the demeanor of some of the officers that, I kind of had some issues with the way some of the officers' demeanors were at the, at the scene of the shooting.
So what do you mean by that? How was their demeanor? What rubbed you the wrong way?
Well, there was a white female officer that was on the scene, and she just had a smirk on her face. And I didn't understand, what in the world could she be looking like this? And it could have been about something totally different. But what I'm saying is, are you that jaded that you can't be more sensitive to what is going on right now? Clearly you have a loved one of this shooting victim who is hysterical. You know what I mean? Her loved one, and I can just tell by the way she was screaming that the man probably didn't make it. I didn't want to say that because I don't want to put out false information, but you kind of know, because that's the type of scream I had when they told me my son wasn't going to make it when he had his stroke. Thank God he pulled through, but I understood that scream. You understand? And for this lady to stand there in the street with this smirk on her face, almost I wouldn't say a smile, but it was a smirk. It was a smirk, and I didn't understand what she was smirking about, and they were just going around matter-of-factly, and then the police arguing amongst themselves of who was supposed to be standing where, and somebody left their post, and it just was it was very telling. You know what I mean? It was very telling, and then just referring to her as the screaming woman, as if she had not just witnessed what she's witnessed. Can somebody do something about the screaming lady, the screaming woman? I'm like, what in the world? It was insensitive at best. Insensitive.
Yeah, I was just telling folks that we talked as we was preparing for the podcast last night, And,
Yeah.
just let them know that, it really touched you. I can only imagine, seeing something like that so close to you, hearing those voices. That's very, very real. Then you was telling me you had a couple of haters on the stream. They just don't understand the time that we live in. I mean, to me, that's a resource that you're doing for our community by just giving us another viewpoint about it. And I appreciate that. So, damn.
Yeah, but people, there are so many clout chasers out here, and the person who was saying that, obviously they're not a person who is on digital media. They obviously don't follow me. They're not a person who knows exactly what we're out here trying to do. And so they made some comment like, why would you just be on social media about it and not trying to do something about it? As if I had seen it. I hadn't witnessed anything. I just heard it. Fortunately, they caught the shooter. They have somebody arrested. Some guy named Jamon Atkins, I think he was 28. If the story is to be true, that's what's being published now. So it's not like I had direct access to what was going on. I could really help the police in any way. But people jump to those kind of conclusions because there are a lot of people out here who clout chase and do things like that. But I would never be someone who tries to capitalize on anyone's pain and anguish or what they're going through. I was just simply letting people know there's an active shooting situation in broad daylight in Roseline, in a business and residential area where, like me and a lot of other people, bring our children and grandchildren to work because children are working remotely now, and so we can do that, type of thing now. And it was just a bad situation. And I was just wanting people to let know that, check on your people, make sure everybody is okay.
Well, FB, I appreciate you, and thank you for calling in and giving us that insight this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, that's Mos Def. That's Fast Pitch with the Valley Service Podcast. She'd already been doing good work and doing her podcast before we started working together with CDM. And I'll say it again. I mean, we're looking to expand our roster. Perhaps someone in the greater Cincinnati area or beyond who's doing a podcast or a live stream show. Maybe we can work together. That's just the world we live in, and I appreciate it. It gives us a different perspective. You never know. She might even be called this. You might be looking at evidence. You never know. This could be a part of that case. And we didn't talk about it here in that conversation, but we talked about it last night, FP and myself, and that is who's out here committing murders, homicides in broad daylight. What makes you think you're not going to get caught? And within 24 hours, they already got somebody apprehended. And that's because of the good people in the neighborhood, eyewitnesses. I want to give the people that's working with the police props. Because nobody cares more about that murder and that homicide than the family involved and the people that live near that residence or that office space. Nobody can care more about it. So I'm just sick of this nonsense when I hear, the black community is anti-snitching. I mean, if they are, they got a good reason to be. The police don't snitch on one another. Knock it off. But again, it's not true. It depends on the individual. You got some white folks out there that won't speak with the police. You got some black folks that won't speak with the police. Depends on how close they are to the situation and whether they think they're going to get burned by the fire. Simple as that. You want more people to come forward, then offer them protection when they come forward. So again, you can follow her on Facebook at Fast Pictures with a Z. All right. And watch the entirety of it. I just want to play a little clip of it. And you can hear clearly in the very beginning of it. She says, look, if y'all people, somebody that work here or whatever, go check on them. What's wrong with that? How's that exploitation? That's called a service to the community. That's what that's called. That's called being a good neighbor. Check on everybody's on Facebook, or a lot of people on Facebook, not everybody. Go check on your people. But have you heard about this? The brother that they've already got a man, like she said, Jahad Atkins, A-K-I-N-S, I believe, who I read has already been or is in custody right now, around that. So it's real out here, man. Broad daylight. TNT writes, James was on point. He was on point. Janice writes that there is a black gun association. There's a lot of black gun clubs, but I've never found, and again, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but Buckeye Firearms Association it's bigger than just a bunch of folks that get together and do their drum. Like I said, it's got levels to it. Joe can speak more intelligent than I can, but they got a political action committee. So they're lobbyists. And then they're also training people and, doing media. You know what I'm saying? Like I've heard them on other shows here in the Cincinnati area. So Oh, okay. Yeah, sure thing. Sure thing. Most def. Marcia writes, he just brought Reebok, right? Well, again, I thought it was premature, but the news was that he's in the process of trying to buy Reebok. Maurice writes, he is showing us how to get money. He talking about Master P. Yeah, I love the energy and the direction that he's going with it. I love that energy. Lee writes, prayers up for Dr. Dre and his family. He had an aneurysm. That's the worst fear of migraine sufferers. That's right. Dr. Dre did have an aneurysm. Yeah, here he is right here. Dr. Dre did have an aneurysm. He was rushed to the hospital. He's in ICU. That's from his Instagram. He put out a message last night saying over 1 million people responded to it or reacted to it and liked it, saying that, he's getting good care. He's going to be okay. An aneurysm is when one of your blood vessels become expanded. It kind of balloons out. So let's say the blood vessel is supposed to be like this, and an aneurysm looks like this, right? Which is not good. My mother had an aneurysm many years ago. My father had an aneurysm. So what's that mean for me? That's why I'm on that super healthy kit. If it ain't some healthy-ish, I don't want it. I don't even want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So props to Fast Pitch for being on the spot. That's just a bad situation right there. I mean, on your birthday? And I'm curious, not in a morbid kind of way, because this is serious. Like, this is somebody's family member. So in no way do I want to trivialize that. This is super serious. But I'm like, what could this possibly be about? Was this about a woman? Was this about money? Was this about something else? Broad daylight? And then apparently, drove away in a whip or two. I'm like, wait a minute, this don't make no sense. TNT writes, my cousin's a black firefighter. He could have been on the scene. The type of incidents he sees is gruesome, but he is a hero. He saves lives. Nat writes, gun culture in America, KKK. Sean writes, what a shame. Maurice writes, I was watching that. It was sad. I heard his family screaming. His brother was going off. That's my brother. That's my brother. He was yelling. Hearing the women in his family crying and screaming was heartbreaking. I lost many homies like that. Yeah, just hearing a little bit there has touched me this morning. I'm all in my feelings. Like, what makes me good at what I do is because I care about it. I feel it. I ain't just talking ish. Like, I feel this. When you hear me going hard at CPS, it's because I'm emotionally invested. You hear me talking about our community, I'm emotionally invested in this. It's not just a conversation to me. I mean, it is, but the feelings go much deeper than just the surface for me. Everybody's different. James writes, she says, glad you're safe to Fast Pitch. Oh, absolutely. 100. Like I said, she shocked me last night when she told me. I'm like, what? I had no idea. I felt kind of bad that I was unaware of it. And I just haven't been on social media like that. So thanks for all the people in the friends page has been keeping that going. Y'all know I've been dealing with some family-ish, man. TNT writes, what would possess someone to shoot someone on broad daylight in front of everyone? I can only think drugs. I mean, you got to be high to do something like that because you're not going to get away with it. Who you think you are, Nino Brown? Ain't nobody going, you think you Joe Scarpa, the Grim Reaper, people too afraid to come forward? Hell no. Lee writes, yes, they were going to smirk. We are killing each other, making their job easier. You're not supposed to say that out loud, Lee. Michael writes, your demeanor is describing how you feel is troubling for me. You literally said you are doing better than a murder victim. I hear what you're saying, Michael, but I think what she was trying to say was that how she feels is irrelevant compares to what happened to this brother. That's what I heard, Michael. Yeah, I don't think she was trying to say, She was trying to say, look, it don't really matter how I feel. I'm alive. Somebody just lost a loved one. That's what I heard from Fast Pitch. Charles writes, damn, on his birthday? Yeah, on his birthday, man, that's terrible. Janice writes, I fully understand that scream. I don't ever want to understand that scream. I don't want to understand that. I understand the scream that you'll make when you find out that somebody like a grandparent, like I lost my grandfather. I was at a girlfriend's house. Hear somebody knocking on the window. I pull back the window. It's my uncle. I knew right then something bad had happened. For him to track me down, he told me my grandfather died. I ran out with one shoe on my foot. So I understand that. Michael writes, people clout chasing, then why were you on a scene in a murder investigation on Facebook Live? This lady is a contradiction. Well, when you say on a murder scene, she was upstairs working and it happened downstairs. And again, I played the tape for you, Michael. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, if you know somebody that works or lives around here, check on your people. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. That's what you should do, right? Charles writes, in broad daylight, that's brazen. And as a matter of fact, she scooped the news on that. So she got the word out faster than the news did. That's what she should be doing. Marcia writes, this is why I listen to Black Talk Radio in Cincy to keep up on what's going on, even though I no longer live there. Greg writes, are you talking about what happened on Brookcrest Drive near Section? Yes. Yes. Let me see here. Sin Digital. I see. That's FP. NAGA is the Black Gun Association. I looked them up. NAGA, N-A-A-G-A. I think I can remember that. That was an Albert Anastasia NYC barbershop hip in the 1950s. I'm aware of that. Greg writes, the Huey Newton Gun Club has been around for a while. Marcia writes, I thank her because I think my cousin's barbershop is near there. I just sent her a text asking, she's only there part-time. Public service. She did a public service. James writes, that's how Johnny Cochran transitioned. Right. That's why I work real hard. When I get off the show today, I got to check on my son and make sure his schedule is cool. If I have the time, I'll be walking before 12 noon for at least 45 minutes. I'm not sure where I'm going to walk to today because I have to keep my blood pressure down and I super regulate what I eat. Every morsel. I don't just eat anything. I'd rather starve, literally, because you are what you eat and everything you eat has an impact. I don't really mess with dairy at all. It's very, very rare. The closest I get to any dairy is probably going to be like some 100% grass-fed butter, and that's very, very, very sparingly. And I don't mess with sugar at all. Sugar is poison. I don't do no sugar at all and nothing at all and never will again. No alcohol. Again, get your drink on, do you? No alcohol, never drink another drink in my life. More plant-based. More plant-based. And when I do eat meat, which is very rare, it's going to be the best meat I can get. 100% grass-fed beef. That's the only, I ain't messing with no lunch meat. None of that. None of that. No. Life is too precious. I'm not going to give up this life over some bologna. Over some hot dogs? Hell no. It ain't that serious. And if you just do those few things I just mentioned and work out every day, just walk every day, you'll see a dramatic change in your body and your thinking and your lifestyle. Greg writes, I thought an aneurysm is like a stroke. I don't know for sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor either, so I don't want to get too deep in it. I think the sort of example I just gave you is accurate, so I'll leave it right there. I'll let the doctors, the medical doctors, the people smarter than me to speak on that. Tracy writes, it's a daycare on the corner and other businesses. It's good she let people know their loved ones are close to a violent attack. Right, that's how I looked at it. Absolutely. And I bet you she probably helped somebody. I bet you somebody's like, oh, I had no idea. Let me call such and such. Are you okay? I heard. Yeah, I'm okay. That's what you're supposed to do. And she's also a member of the media. And as a member of the media, that's what she's supposed to do as well. So it is what it is. People always got something to say. And again, sometimes it's valid. Sometimes it's not. Greg writes, I was close to the area and someone rode past me at a high rate of speed last afternoon, chased by 3 Cincinnati police cars. This was in Bond Hill by the library. I don't know if that was related at all to the shootings on Brookcrest. Again, I want to make this point again, that black people do in fact work with police when it comes to homicides and crimes. They do in fact do that. Black people call Crime Stoppers. I would venture to say that the majority of the calls they get are probably from black folks. That's just me. And I just want to dispel this myth that black people are somehow anti-law enforcement or anti-law and order or bringing people to justice. That's not the case. What the real issue is that there is legitimate concern by black people that when you interact with police, you end up becoming the perpetrator. And nobody has time for that. We got to go to work tomorrow. We don't have time to be go down here because you got a whole bunch of fucking questions and we had a warrant and all that. I ain't got time for all that. So it's better just to not get involved. Secondly, there's a long and very valid and troubled, tragic history in which Black people were the victims of crimes perpetrated on them by members of law enforcement. You can't get over that. Thirdly, if you want people to come forward, you're going to have to protect them. You might have to relocate them. Nobody's coming forward and going to put their life in jeopardy no matter what is happening, and you can't protect them. So when y'all can take care of all those boxes, you'll see if, in fact, that's the case, it needs to happen, more cooperation with the Black community, even though there's a lot of cooperation already. I just hate these myths about our community because it just ain't true. You do some crimes around me, your ass is done. I'm telling you, don't do that shit around me because I'm not going down for you. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you straight up, you're done. You know what I'm saying? I got a little boy, got a little girl, beautiful Black woman who I love spending time with. I'm not going to put that jeopardy for no one. And I mean no one. So you word to the wise. Don't do it around me because you done. I'm on some Pharrell type stuff. You know what Pharrell said on Drink Champs recently? So don't do that around me because you done. I'm telling you. It's a wrap for you, homie. And I'm not going to hide. I'm telling you just like I'm telling you now. I ain't hiding. Geneva writes, that's exactly what she was saying. Exactly. Letty writes, this was a guy who wanted to be cocky, who was going to brag about what he did to friends. Most likely the killer had planned to kill the deceased. Who's bragging about killing an unarmed man, was a Black man in broad daylight at his job? What's to brag about? I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Nat writes, fast pitch ain't said nothing wrong. I detect no lies, 100%. It's called citizen journalism. Look it up. Janice writes, they explain blood vessels like tires. Some are tough like radio tires. Others aren't as strong. Families who seem to have aneurysms should have an examination. Yes, but there's some things you get right. I mean, genetically, if you've got some genetic things, you're going to have to deal with it. But keeping that blood pressure down, keeping your weight in check, stepping away from the smoking and the drinking, eating right can help all of that. A healthy lifestyle helps everything. Anthony writes, this ain't the first shooting we've had in broad daylight. Correct. Lee writes, in broad daylight, drugs, gang issues? Drop writes, great job, fast pitch, citizen journalist. I agree. Geneva writes, over some bologna. Right. I ain't going out over no damn bologna, I'm telling you. Some hot dogs? You think I'm going to leave this world over some fucking chicken wings? It ain't happening. They ain't never had none. I used to love some chicken wings. I haven't had any in the last year, but small things, man. That's small. I'm going to give me some vegan chicken wings, which don't taste anything like the real ones, but I've had some. And, you know, it'll get me by. It'll get me by. I remember it was the night of the NBA finals. Like, I don't know, it was maybe game 1, game 2. I was like, damn, I want some chicken wings and watch the game. But I don't eat chicken wings anymore, right? Just bad chicken. And I bought some vegan chicken wings, which was like, it was like plants with something over it to try to recreate it. And I sat there and made believe I was eating chicken wings, man. It ain't nothing like chicken wings, but it was close enough. It satisfied my little buttons. Drop writes, walking while retired. Jason writes, fish oil is very good for you. Omega-3, you actually are. That's why I still, in terms of meat, I'll mess with a little bit of salmon here or there for the omega-3s. The omega-3s are everything. And the higher the quality of the meat that you're eating, the higher the nutritional value. Like I said, some things are worth paying for. Jason writes, just buy the pills. That way you don't have to worry about the mercury. Okay. Don't have to worry about mercury as much with salmon, but you're right about that. Shango writes, hashtag Biden Harris 2020, hashtag Warnock Ossoff. Let me double check real quick and see if there's any up-to-date information that I can share with you before we roll out of here. That's going to be the big conversation between now and whenever these votes are concluded. I can tell you that in Georgia, they are expecting to not only count all of the ballots that were either early or day of, but also from what I got from cable news, you know, consider the source, that there's about 14,000 ballots from the military that are subject to come in. And if they come in by Friday, right, which is 2 days from now, then they'll be counted as well. Okay, so I'm not sure what the margin of victory is right now for Jon Ossoff. Let me see here. It looks like he's up by about 7,000 votes. So that's within the margin. It looks at this point as if in both of those races, 98% of the estimated votes are counted. Raphael Warnock has been considered the winner because what they do is they estimate the amount of votes that they think are still out there. And then they compare that to the margin between the two candidates. And if the margin between the two candidates is larger than the estimated votes, then they'll go ahead and predict one person the winner. That's why Raphael Warnock has been projected to be the winner. And I'm so glad. I was just sick of looking at Kelly Loeffler. I'm not even in Georgia. I mean, just fake, and more fake. I'm just sick of looking at her. And I'm sick of looking at David Perdue, quite honestly. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know. But a lot of people are saying that this is a big win for the Democrats no matter what, because Georgia has traditionally been a red state. Now it's more of a purple state. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe this is Stacey Abrams, right? She got played. Well, how you going to be governor? How you going to run for governor and be Secretary of State in charge of the elections? Talk about needing to change the rules. So you get to tinker with the elections as you're running for governor in a way that benefits you. And she ended up losing that race statewide by 60,000 votes. And it had over 300,000 votes that were thrown out. Come on, man. That don't even make no sense, homie. That don't even make no sense. Back inside the chop shop, I am. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Black people didn't need a effing wall. This MF was not about to run out and take in a guy with a 100-round clip. He needs to stop acting like TJ Hooker, right? You talking about Joe? Some of these Second Amendment dudes, man, they feel like these gun rights people, they feel like a gun is the panacea for everything. Everything. Your kids getting bad grades, concealed and carry. Got a backache? Oh, you need a shoulder holster. No, they feel like guns are the panacea for everything, and they are not. And they are not. Let me see here. Mike writes, the Republicans are about to do what they do best. Opposition, obstruction, right? They are. They are. Even if the Democrats take both of them, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. That's still going to be an uphill battle, because what will probably happen is, let's say that Jon Ossoff wins, right? What will probably happen is that you still got to deal with the Republican opposition, but then Joe Biden is going to have to deal with the more progressive wing of the Democrat Party as well, who will see this 50-50, split as an opportunity to use the leverage of their votes. Because if you got a 50-50 split, that's not a majority. That means that every vote now has a premium. And when the votes are a premium, that means you have leverage. And some people are going to use it. So it's not a slam dunk. Cassandra's in the house. She writes, if you're in your driveway, that's your house. Somebody is on your property. They should have to leave or be dealt with. That point, right? Yeah. Joe kept trying to go back to, what about your driveway? I'm like, driveway is the house. I'm thinking about these road rage situations, because road rage is a real thing. You get into a road rage situation, you flip somebody off, they flash a weapon at you. Do you shoot them? And you can drive away. Let's say you got multiple ways to get away. Do you shoot them? Do you kill them because they flashed a weapon and now you fear they're going to shoot you? Or do you drive away? I feel like if you've got the opportunity to retreat, then you should. And again, look at what happened with Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman stalked. First, he profiled this young man. Then he stalked him. Then he confronted him. Then he assaulted him. And then he killed him. And then he claimed self-defense. How in the hell can you claim self-defense? And see, that's the same scenario that I'm afraid will happen here in the state of Ohio. You'll have people that now, they got battery in their back. Oh, now they tough. Oh, I'm super tough. I ain't got the retreat now, right? And they're going to create situations that normally they wouldn't do because they feel like they got the law behind them. And as I said to Joe, and Joe had no evidence whatsoever, and Joe, if you're still listening, you offered no evidence whatsoever that there's a real problem out there. There is no evidence that there is a problem in the state of Ohio where law-abiding citizens that rightfully use force in their own self-defense are being charged with homicides. There's no examples of it that I've seen whatsoever. And Joe doesn't have any. And how do we know? Because if there were any, Joe, you would have said it. You would have led with it. You would have said, well, hey, you got a case up in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County where blah, 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 and blee, 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 right? There was none of that. Because there is no problem with this. There is not an epidemic or an issue with white male prosecutors, and that's the majority of them in Hamilton, in all the counties in the state of Ohio, who are prosecuting law-abiding citizens who use force in self-defense with homicide. There's no example of it. As I told him, and I'll end with this, SB 175 is a solution looking for a problem. That's all it is. Nothing more than that. And the problem is that it's going to jeopardize melanated people in the state of Ohio. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. Nothing else needs to be said on it. And again, if Joe had any points, he would have said them. He does interviews all the time. You know what I'm saying? He's good at his job. He knows what he's doing. I've heard him on other shows. He knows what he's doing. If there was any evidence, it would be out there. They'd be talking about it. They'd be saying, hey, look at these examples. There are no examples. Previous to the passing of SB 175, if you got a concealed and carry permit and you out there and somebody confronts you, then you can use force to preserve your life. And these prosecutors, whether it be Hamilton County or any other county, are not going to charge you with homicide if the evidence stacks up on your favor. They're not. Because they haven't been doing it. Hell, in Hamilton County, you can run into the middle of the street and put yourself in danger, shoot somebody, and not get charged. And if you're black, the laws do not apply to you the same. They don't. They never have. And unless we fight and change the complexion of America and our attitudes, it never will. And those are the facts. And there's nothing anybody can say that's going to convince me otherwise of that. Let me see. Sean writes, Fast Pitch did the right thing. It's her duty to report. Thank you, Fast Pitch. Oh, absolutely, 100%. I'm glad people feel that way and put it out there. Listen, I got to make a move, fam. I got to make a move. A lot of things are percolating. And I really appreciate you being here. I want to give you a heads up. Tiffany Daniels is the host of Community Connector. It's a super dope podcast. You can find her on Facebook right now and follow her. Her podcast is coming to CDM real soon. We also have another podcast called Melanated Insights, hosted by two black females, coming to CDM real soon. Looking forward to that as well. And another podcast called Invasion. This podcast is hosted by a black male. This podcast is hosted by a black male who'll be riffing on politics. So there's a lot of things that are happening, and I really appreciate you being here. Plus, CDM is moving into some other ventures as well, which I'll tell you about real soon. Listen, if you got a tip on a story, or you want to connect with me personally, you got my text message is in today's description. Also, my link tree is there. You can link to anything I'm doing if you want to get on board with this mission to amplify Black voices. I really appreciate you in advance. Thank you so much. And we'll catch up real soon. All right. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday. All right. Stay winning out there, family. Stay winning. I want to see you win. I want to see you win. Whatever it is you're doing, if it's something positive, I want to see you win. All right. Have an excellent rest of your day. Shout out to my patrons. I'll shout you out tomorrow individually and in particular over the next couple of weeks. Thank you for being here. Have an excellent Tuesday, and I'm out.
I believe in you, me, yeah. The Nathan Ivey Show is supported by listeners. Go to www.patreon.com/Nathan Ivey Show and help Nathan keep the show independent.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a fuck, that's what they don't understand. I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a fuck, I don't care. Did the by my lonesome, no wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my tell them it's nothing. In the discussion, for them feelings I throw all my pain on percussion. The disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you almost spotted the feast. I've been on go mode, show mode, showboat, rowboat, wave.